Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the series on my road to the Grandmaster title. In almost all of these episodes thus far, I'm playing 2 training games against my anonymous training partner. Your support throughout has been unbelievable. You guys are watching the episodes, really enjoying the analysis. I love reading your comments. This episode is a rough one. So in this one, you're going to get to see me suffer. But I hope you enjoy. All right, it's game time. Here we go. D4 by my opponent. So I've played Queen's Gambit, accepted. I've also played Knight F6. For this game, I'm going to go with G6. And I think my opponent's going to play E4. And we're going to play a modern, I would imagine. I doubt my opponent goes to C4. The thing is, knowing a little bit about my opponent repertoire, that's personally what I think. So here, it's a pretty flexible setup between D6 and A6. I'm going to play the traditional D6. Opponent goes for the most critical approach, which is the Austrian attack with the 3-pawn setup. I'm going to play A6. And now there's a couple of ways to develop, but B5 is generally the way to go, considering the opponent has not played A4 to prevent B5. Right, and now bishop B7. So there's a line here, bishop B7, E5, and then white tries to play bishop E4, if I'm not mistaken. I think bishop B7 is still completely okay here, which I'm going to play. But after E5, I might consider knight H6, which is a move. And I think it's just a little bit delaying what white might want in some of those positions. E5, knight D7 is, I believe, also possible. But yeah, white should play E5 and bishop E4, normally. But we'll see what happens. There it is. And I'm going to play my knight H6 move. I like knight H6. I think it's a pretty good... You know, you ever analyze these positions with engine, it always just says that white is much better. It's always like, oh, plus 0.8, whatever. But okay, I mean, computer, like I always like to say, doesn't know anything about chess. But in these kinds of positions, so the standard idea is something with a pawn coming to E6, like sacrificing the pawn, and then trying to put a knight on G5 to then win that pawn back and hit everything. I don't remember exactly the variation after E6. Opponent doesn't really seem to have an interest in remembering it either. And also, I might just get away with playing F5 and leaving the pawn where it is. Now, if I play knight D7, E6 becomes more powerful since my knight is also hit. So I got to think about what I want here. I mean, obviously, castling is natural. At a certain point, C5 is good, but not right now, because I think white can just take. So that doesn't... I mean, if I play C5 and it gets taken, that doesn't make much sense. Knight F5 on its own doesn't make a lot of sense yet either. So probably just castling. I mean, I don't think this is anything troubling. So yeah, E6 I can maybe even... I'm not going to take it. I think taking it is a bit too much. But I can ignore it. I don't think it poses that much of a threat, because when he takes, I'm just going to take with my knight. So normally the knight is on F6, and it can become a target when E5 happens. But since the knight is on H6... Okay, so opponent is going for 2 plans at the same time. Obviously, taking is sort of out of the question. It's not even a move I would consider. B4 is the super obvious move, but then I need to figure out what I'm going to do when the knight comes here. I know, I'm not really scared of that maneuver, so to say. And C6 just looks mildly depressing. I don't know why I would play that move. There's also maybe a way I can sack this pawn, like trade rooks and try to create some counterplay right off the bat. But I mean, this just looks way too obvious not to be played, so I don't know why I wouldn't play it. Yeah, now we're going to have to find a way to attack the center somehow. Because both of these knights can come to g5 and then ultimately try to get to f7 somehow. d5 is an awful move. It's a one mover that attacks the knight and allows the knight to come to c5 or g5 or even back, and then my bishop is completely blocked. So this is all about attacking in the middle here. c5 now looks appealing, and I wonder if I can attack the middle, like c5, dc, and then take on e5. But it might be premature to do that. Knight d7 here looks a little scarier than it did before. If I take knight g5 is very unpleasant, so what about just knight f6? This knight's a little bit stuck, but knight g5. Yeah, a little bit congested in that position, it almost feels like. Queen c8 also to prepare this is an option. I mean, I can wait, you know, I can play like a5 and then maybe wait to trade my bishop like that, but another option is to just play the e-pawn forward a square so that e6 is never possible, and then try to come up with something. Another option is to take on e5. Yeah, it's a lot of options here, to be honest. They all look okay. I mean, none of them look fantastic. None of them look terrible, but none of them look jaw-dropping either. Like, awe-inspiring counterplay here. Tough position to play in 10 minutes, because I have to make such a big decision right now of what's going to happen for the remainder of the game. Very easy to do something stupid and live to regret it. I worry that if I play this move, my knight could get stranded forever, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure I have such a massive choice. Like, I would imagine the guy, you know, he's going to blitz out castles or something. I need to figure out what to do in the middle here. If I play knight f5 at some moment and I can't make any further progress with the knight, then comes g4. So the tricky thing about jumping this knight into f5 is the fact that it needs to actually, like right now, knight f5 actually makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense. But then when the bishop goes back, then I have to be ready for g4. So, again, d, e, f, e, knight f5, bishop f2, knight c6 maybe? And then c3 takes bc. I'm like just too slow. Like a move, I need one more move. I need one more move, and somehow the position is going to be okay. Let's take, though. I'm getting tired of waiting here. Plus, the good thing about having played e6 is I can always come back. Oh, this way. Oh. Is that good? I can't even tell. I wasn't even expecting this capture. I can't even tell if this is good. Is this good? Is this good? Knight d7? Queen e7? Like, slowly get out? I mean, long castles is a move. Short castles is also a move. I just thought I needed to prevent something from coming to c5. My pawn's a bit of a loner. But now it seems a lot harder for white to stop. Yeah, like, I don't understand. I thought fe made a lot of sense because then the bishop opens, there's pressure over here. But now if you castle, your rook doesn't open on the f-file. So, you know, I'll play a5 or something. Maybe queen e7. I have to be careful about c5 because the knight can come in here. It's a big game of weaknesses. Like, I have some dark squared problems. White obviously has some light squares in the center that I can fight for. Just cracked my jaw. Oh, that felt good. Nice pop. Ow, kind of hurt though. So, no, I mean, I wanted to play g6 today regardless of what happened. I just generally need more practice against high-level opposition in g6. In games where they're not 3-minute and I can't just, you know, blitz out moves and flag my opponent down a queen or something. I've actually been trying to incorporate more g6 into my repertoire, but it's a lot easier to play it against the English at my level because then opponents can't make it a king's pawn, whereas after d4 they can make it a king's pawn. And the truth is, if they play e4, I would just rather have a Caro Kann. I don't really like to play g6 against e4. It's not that it's bad. I'm not really good at those positions yet. But So that was a little bit about, you know, why I did what I did. But anyway, I actually think the worst is over. The worst disadvantage of the opening possible is over, but the game is not, unfortunately. It's a good move, a5, trying to isolate my pawn and this one. That is a smart move. That's a smart move. So knight f5 still obvious. Queen e7, I just want to play this move, like just to play it. I just want to play this move. I mean, it just seems like a smart move. I don't, you know, stops anything to c5, preemptively defends b4, so it's never a weakness. Connect the rooks, figure out my life after this. Yeah, there's short castle. So now, now we need to actually come up with more than just a one mover. And I don't exactly know what that is. f6 seems weakening. Definitely seems weakening. This trade does not look very appealing right now. But I don't have a lot of space. f6, yeah? Takes, there's bishop c5. So I would just straight up lose material. So we can't do that. c5 threatens c4. But that's like literally it. And if knight comes to d6, what exactly is my game plan there? How am I going to deal with that knight? This is a bit unpleasant, I can't lie. However, knight g4 would force this bishop out. And that could be my moment. So I'm going to play knight g4. Because the thing is, if I can get this bishop, at least I have two bishops. And I've made a good trade. Bishop d4 now runs into c5, which traps the bishop and I think gets me a good thing. And if the bishop goes this way, white takes their eye off c5 for just 1 second, and that 1 second is all I need, I think. And then we can make some exchanges, and the more exchanges we can gain in this position, I think the better for us. I think maybe h3 was required instead of short castle. Like maybe this, so I can't go knight g4, and that's the major difference. But you don't really want to play h3. You kind of feel like you're wasting time. Oh, wow. So, okay, the opponent is just giving me the bishop. Not interested in protecting the bishop pair. I'm going to take it, because that's why I went knight g4. And now we need to figure out what's going on. I mean, maybe rook d8. I really want to get something to c5, but I don't want to rush, because I feel like if we rush it, like, for example, taking, like, we're just not going to get a good position. Rook d8 that allows the queen to get into a7. I really do think rook f to d8 is the smarter move, and somehow this rook will protect against any dumb queen infiltration. And I have some pipe dream of putting my bishop on c5 in the future. So we've actually kind of covered most of our weaknesses, and I'm not sure we're even that much worse. However, g4 f5 or h4 h5 is on the way. Like I'm not sure white has any other game plan here except just trying to blow my head off. And that's because I'm slowly getting a positional advantage. Like I'm going to get the bishop pair. If I trade a few more pieces in all endgames, this pawn could just be a liability more than an asset. Okay, but actually he's trying to double the rooks and play down the middle, so I'm not sure he thinks that he has to come and attack me. Yeah, so I really want to play f6. I'm just not sure if it's too weakening. I'm just not sure it's too weakening. It feels a little weakening, but I only have 3 minutes to calculate all these lines, and bishop f6, man, it's a crazy position. f6, bishop c4, fg, knight g5. I also really want to play this move because it always stops bishop c4, but then I might get hit with this and take on passant, and then we might chill there for a second. Ah, man, I gotta speed up a little bit too. Tough. It's not easy to find the right plan forward here. I really think I'm just gonna go for it. I don't know. I'm just gonna go for it. My gut tells me it's not the right thing to do, but I was kind of running out of moves, to be honest. Like, where was my, I mean, that does nothing. That's impossible. Maybe bishop f8, knight c5 or something. But okay, I have two bishops. I need to, now my dark squared bishop's gonna come alive. So I have a weakness, but it might be counterbalanced by this weakness and this weakness and this weakness. I don't know. That's the beauty of the game of chess. I have no idea. I don't know. We're trying to figure it out. I got no clue. Like, take, bishop c4 is going to attack my e6 pawn. I might just lose it. I might just chuck the pawn, use my bishops, crisscross applesauce, and try to win my opponent's pawns as well. Yeah, this trade might need to happen because knight d5 is way too strong, I think. Ah, okay, interesting. That attacks e6. So bishop d5, knight d5, queen e6, takes. My rook is hanging. I don't want to lose a rook. Imagine that. Yeah, I'm just gonna play bishop d5. I'm not really super crazy about this move, but yeah, and here come the horses. Here come the horses. c5, and in the future I might have some bishop coming to d4 idea. Actually, now I'm threatening a ridiculous knight g4, bishop d4. That is a wild tactic. Wow. I mean, yeah, I would play, if I was white, I would probably play king h1. Just never worry about the queen and king being on the same time. I'm not, besides knight g4, I'm not sure I have a threat, or h3. But that's tricky to see. That's tough to see in the middle of all this. I mean, I mostly played this because, ooh, he allows it. Or is he trapping me? Judging by his delayed response time, I'm not sure he set a trap. But he does have queen g3. I mean, it's not over. He just plays it instantly. Bishop e5, fe5, I take this, but take, check. That seems, I don't know. What am I trying to do? Am I trying to close the center up? Do I have can I take bishop h6? It's also interesting. Yeah, let's go like this. I have bishop h6, but somehow h4, and he's holding stuff. Okay, let's go rook f8. Time to switch the play. Ah, is there some knight h7? Oh. Oh no. Oh no, we're both blundering some weird tactics. But his might, oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, I'm not sure it worked, but it looked really scary. Wow. Okay, let me try to recover psychologically. All right. Yeah, but if I trade, I mean, he still kind of has it. So I'm thinking bishop h6, but then knight comes to f7. Oh my god. I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna go for the second rook trade. I'm not sure I have something better, because then rook f7 was coming. Maybe knight e5 was wrong, but I'm not sure. At least if this I can take with the bishop, and then that's not a problem anymore, because my queen covers and I have queen g7. Not to mention that when knight g7 actually happens, or knight h7 happens, yeah, like for example, if I play bishop f8, or if I play queen f8, knight h7, king h7, queen g6, king here, check, here, I get out. I think I get out. But there is a pawn hanging over here, by the way. Low key. Yeah, I'm gonna take... I think I'm fine. I'm not really afraid of this. Maybe I should have kept my queen here to keep eyes on the knight. I went here because I kind of like the prospect of a queen coming to f5. Like bishop a6, queen a5, bishop d3, queen e5, takes, a6. I probably shouldn't allow that. If there, I should probably play queen a8. Or queen b8? Queen b8? Or even c4, queen c5 or something. What a wild game we're having here. A wild battle. Knowing my opponent, he's going to take on a6. Queen h3. Queen h7, king f8. Here, knight e... Oh, queen... Do I have queen f4? Knight e6? So queen h7, just king f8. somehow I can use his threat completely against him? Queen g6, like queen e... I don't... This is crazy. I don't know how we're not... Someone's about to lose, okay? He takes... So queen c1, just bishop f1. But what about queen e3? And what? There's just nothing here? For anybody? I saw this. Queen c1. Is there really just king e2? He's just completely safe? Is he gonna go knight f3? But then I take. I don't know. And then king e2, I have queen e5. I mean, it could be a draw. We could draw. It's kind of disappointing, but that might be the best result. You know, I sack a couple pawns and then we just go from there. He might try to avoid the draw though. Knight f3, I just take it and then try to hunt his king down. I think knight f3 is way too dangerous because his constant threat of mate right now is what's keeping this game going. If I was a real gangster, I would play king g1, bishop e5. Knight h7, king e7, queen g5, takes. No, that's stupid. No, that's just dumb. Like, here, check, here, he just trades queens with me, and he's just winning in the endgame. Yeah, I'm not going to tempt fate. I'm not gonna do it. He might run to e1 anyway and completely shock me. It's a fair thing to do. It's a training game. You might as well. Yep, he does. I can check him like this. Knight f3 back. My whole idea was to take like this, right? So I'm gonna do it. Okay. It's a mate threat. So let's take. Oh, I hung mate. Oh, wow. That was not smart. Okay, so let's quickly analyze this first game. An interesting one until the end. Now, if I had any idea that my opponent was going to go f4, I might have gone for a6, f4, d5, which gives me a little flexibility. White is a little bit better in these positions, but essentially you can like trade queens. This is in my g6 course. I actually thought that my opponent might play bishop e3, so I didn't really think twice about it. But this does give me an extra layer of flexibility, which I didn't really employ. And instead we got, you know, to this position. You know, nothing really stood out until this moment. If you remember from watching the game live, here I contemplated the very thematic counter shot in the center c5. Like any time you're playing a modern, you're usually trying to attack like this. I rejected this variation because I didn't really see a clean way to win back one of these pawns. For example, like knight d7 attacks e5, but not really because because of this. So my bishop can't actually attack the center pawn because it's stuck defending, and white doesn't have to do anything. I mean, white can develop like this, and you would think, okay, I just swarm the pawn and I'm gonna win it. But the second I'm gonna threaten to win this pawn, white is gonna sacrifice it. Like, that's the whole point. White will give me this pawn and I'm gonna choke on this pill. Like, this is not going to work very well for me. The engine does actually think that c5 is the way to go. It actually thinks that then I should play queen c7. And the difference between knight d7 and queen c7 is now this move, the same kind of idea, allows knight g4. So I just don't use this knight. I use my queen and my bishop and this knight. And if, for example, something like h3 here, that does prevent knight g4, and it's actually not a terrible move, but it's a little bit of a waste of time, because now I go knight d7, and I threaten both these pawns. You see, I rejected this variation because of knight d7. I quickly looked at this, and I thought I didn't like it, and I was kind of right, but queen c7 first, that's tough. I mean, in rapid, I don't know. In classical, maybe, but in rapid, I don't know. And this is not a great positional move. He had good pressure on me for a while. And then right here really is the big moment. You know, I go f6, I make a decision to open up the position because now I have the two bishops. He might consider just attacking my e6 pawn without opening things up. He could consider this. But he does it like this. And here I got excited, man. I have to say, like, knight g4, I really thought I landed a nice shot. Yeah, here I mean, one option is to play this. He can't take because I take the knight. So he does this. And I just quickly evaluated this position as, not too sure. I'm not really sure what my bishops are attacking. He's got some power here. h4, h5 can happen. I don't know. And I decided to do it this way. The problem is this loses tactically. So I remember during the game, I thought knight h7. Yeah, I was right. I mean, knight h7. I saw it. He didn't see it. I didn't see it from a distance. That's the tricky thing. I mean, at this point, I have like about a minute and a half on the clock. I wish I had more. I just was a bit slow. The brain just wasn't, it was a 6 p.m. game. It's like the worst time to play these training games. And then here, so dumb. Like, of course you play bishop f8. I mean, of course. And then you just guard h7. So this is never a problem because you just take with the queen and cover your king. And I mean, this is also not a problem because there's just no threat. And I did it this way because I saw this didn't work. But I totally blanked on the fact that queen h3 is just a nice and solid move. And yeah, now I have to go wild. And the problem is I didn't leave myself enough time. And my opponent actually didn't really think that didn't think he was good. He told me after. He was like, I didn't believe in this. And, well, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, like I said, brain was just not functioning. There's only one way to survive here with black, and I did see it actually a minute before I blundered mate. I was like, what if I just make a run for it? I can't go here, unfortunately, because then it's forced mate anyway. And then queen f7, queen h7. But I saw this, and I'm like, everything's kind of defended. I mean, I run away, and, I mean, this still looks pretty terrifying, but, I mean, there's queen g5. But yeah, didn't leave myself enough time. Everything was not good about this game, to be honest. I played into an opening, which I wasn't 100% familiar with. I had one moment I could have tried to equalize, but that's usually how it goes at this level. And, I was catching up, and unfortunately I lost. Let's take a look at the second game. All right, d4. Let's go with c4. And let's not play into the Nimso. I'm thinking, or maybe, yeah, let's play into the Nimso. Let's play into the Nimso, and against bishop b4, I'm going to play g3. No, he plays d5. That's very surprising. Okay. Okay, let's play knight f3. Bishop e7. And, I'm playing a Queen's Gambit declined. There are so many lines against the Queen's Gambit declined. Let's play g3. I'm going to go for the g3 Queen's Gambit declined. It's kind of like a Catalan. They take on c4. Now there's many lines. I'm going to play knight e5 to try to win this back. Now knight c6 is like a super popular variation. So is c5. c5 just leads to some really boring endgames where you try to torture black. Knight c6 leads to mildly more dynamic positions where you still try to torture black. I don't normally play this, but it's something that I've looked at because Daniel Dubov plays it, which means, you know, and you actually do break a lot of principles here. You trade your light-scored bishop, and then you fork those pieces. You play like this, and then here you play queen a4. And then c5 is theory here. Wow, opponent just blitzes it out. I did not think that they played this, but so takes. And queen c5, and then you play bishop e3, and you attack the queen. The queen usually goes back to c7 in order to maintain defense of this pawn. So everything theoretically here makes a lot of sense. And then here there's many different plans for white, and actually also for black. So queen c, I don't know, queen h5. Wow. Okay, so this pawn has been completely abandoned. It might be too dangerous for me to take it right now. It's a rapid game, so I really don't want to, you know, there's all sorts of weaknesses in my position like this. I'm not gonna attempt. I'm gonna play f3. This is actually very normal here because now the knight can't get in, and you also just preemptively block this bishop. There's a very interesting line here where you actually play h4 anytime they play. Anytime they put the queen on h5 so that you can play g4. Like right now, if g4, the queen sneaks in here, and it can be wolf in the hen's house or something like that, right? Queen g2. Of course, believe it or not, I'm actually going to castle long here as well. There's many positions where white actually just castles long and puts the bishop on d4 and attacks black. So no, super dynamic play. Super dynamic play. My Indian viewers, you should know that Nihal Sarin recently defeated Boris Gelfand in a blitz game in Biel in actually this exact variation. He played something super aggressive and just attacked poor Gelfand and just attacked him until there wasn't anything, until there was nothing left really. Rook b8. Okay, well this gives me more of a justification to castle long. I wasn't going to, but I guess I can. I guess I can castle queenside. It is part of the plan, potentially. The alternative is to bring the queen back, but that seems mildly flaccid. Let's play this move. This is always a move. I don't know if it's a move exactly now or what. Now, black also plays knight d5 a lot in these positions. Because it's just, you know, it helps you bring pawns together. The thing about knight d5 is that even though you get these two pawns together, they're very weak. Also, a7's just hanging. Like, a7's just dead. It's a dead pawn walking. The only reason I'm not taking it is because b2 was under attack. Now I would very much consider just a free pawn. Of course, you do open up counterplay to yourself in the future. But, you know, he might also have to be dealing with some play. Now I'm less worried about the queen coming to g2, so h4 could probably wait. I'm probably just take it, right? I mean, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I just take it? The alternative is to get taken and open my king, or play bishop d4 and allow some fun stuff from my opponent, maybe. Why wouldn't I just take? It looks a little dangerous. It does. It does look a little dangerous. But is it so bad? Bishop d4, is there like e5 or something? It's a very tough and tricky position. I'm gonna take. I don't know why I wouldn't do this. Bishop's gonna come out somewhere. I could throw in g4. And I guess queen e5. Yeah, getting mated would not be nice. Do I take this free pawn? How much of a psychopath am I? Maybe quite a bit of one. Maybe quite a bit of one. Maybe I do take on a7. Queen a7, bishop e6, and then rook a8 is gonna come, right? So then maybe I come back. Oh man, this is a lot. This position is a lot to deal with. And then maybe I just play like queen a7, bishop e6, queen d4, or like g4 or something, and then just go on my own attack over there, and just make sure to play a3 at some point. Bishop d2, bishop c3, threaten some sort of diagonal attack. Scary stuff, man. I have to say, very scary stuff over there. The alternative is just put my bishop here and just shut up. Like, don't allow any play. To be honest with you, I really like this option significantly more than taking the a7 pawn. It's just too dangerous. It's just too dangerous, to be honest. I'd rather have just one thing to worry about, but it's always protected by my bishop and potentially my rook and my queen. And then we'll figure out what to do with this crown of pawns. Engine always gives equality here. It's always like, this position is completely equal. But there's stuff to play for, and I feel like the endgame could be more pleasant for white, but... Capture some thought. My opponent played bishop f5, which just looks like a blunder on first glance. But there's going to be a check there, so like queen g5 or something, I guess is the idea. I still don't really like the move, to be honest, but to each their own. What exactly, like queen g5, rook d2? What is the idea here? c3? Bishop c3? I don't know. Bishop c3 and I'm safe. Bishop g6. I play h4. What is happening? This is like a very far-fetched trick. It feels like. Also, I have e3. Like I can just play e3 and h4, and I have some initiative. Well, but this check has to happen. I think queen h6 actually has to happen. Well, but. Because queen g5 just sets up h4 in the future. No, I mean I think this was a bit generous. This is why bishop e6 is usually the move in these kinds of positions, but you don't really want to play bishop e6 because then the bishop looks like one of those pawns. But yeah, opposite colored bishops, and one of them is a bigger problem than the other. My bishop's a beautiful piece. Fights for the opponent's king side, defends my king, controls the other side of the board, the diagonal over there. The most instructive thing about this game is definitely the pawn structure. And not taking the bait on a7, and then potentially just creating way too much play against myself. Yeah, so now I think I'm going to go e3 because... Oh, I allowed bishop d3. What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? I'm so mad at myself. Why did I allow that? Oh my god. Yeah, I just forgot the bishop could go there after I play e3. Wow. Crazy. Yeah, that's a punch in the gut. I don't know if I'm worse, but it's going to be very unpleasant. I mean, I should have just played rook d2, and I would have never allowed the bishop to come in, and you really wish you can get a take back every now and then. Damn. All right. Try to pick ourselves up here somehow. I don't know how. But we'll try to we'll try, I guess. All right, let's go queen a5. At least this hits some weaknesses. There's some endgames I can sack my rook for these two pawns, like maybe something like this. In the meantime, I probably should push my pawns a bit forward. Wow, why did I allow the bishop to come there? That is infuriating. Yeah, maybe a rook b5 is gonna happen. Queen c3 is kind of a nice drop back move to attack that pawn on g7, and then maybe just try to... Let's go try to bulldoze over there. f6, g5, just all in. Queen a4 is going to happen. Gf6, queen a2, fg. It's going to be nuts. That's going to be crazy. I might just be lost. Like, allowing this was just so bad. I needed more defense, I think. Okay, plays queen a4. If a3, rook b3. Crazy's just letting me take on g7. He doesn't think my attack is strong? That's nutty. Wow. Really? Is he just gonna, like, move his rook? What does he think he has? Queen a2? It's just a battle of calculation at this point. Queen a2, I take the rook. Oh, if I take the rook... There's queen a1 here and rook b2. So I can't take the rook. I could voluntarily run. Yo, that looks insane, but I'm not sure I have anything else. Because I allowed this guy to hang out in my territory. I'm gonna go king d2. Rook b3. I'm gonna run. c3 check, king e1. No, that's losing. He just plays rook b2. And then I just get... Do I take the bishop? That's probably also losing. Yeah, rook b3 probably just wins. I think. I have rook a1 though. No, I don't. I don't have rook a1 because rook b3, rook a1, rook c3. He checks me and then he takes my bishop. Terrible. So bad. None of this would have happened without the bishop on d3. But I'm sure if I analyze this game back after I lose it, that I could have maybe defended a bit better. But it doesn't matter. It's just lost. I have nothing. I already calculated everything I need to calculate. Like if I run off with my queen to f6, c3 with this, yeah, I'm just gonna resign. I mean, there's absolutely nothing, and the final position is, yeah, completely lost. Okay, so absolutely brutal day at the office today. Yeah, not good. But you know, I post these episodes, and I win a game in like almost all of them. And there's been episodes I've won 1.5. There's been episodes I've won 2. I think this is the first time I've lost both games, and like deservedly, like not some stupid blunder in time triple. Like I just lost both these games. Yeah, I mean, bad day at the office. So this one was a Queen's Gambit declined with g3. Really interesting lines, I have to say. I've had these in the wild maybe 2 or 3 times. I usually don't play this anyway. Like I usually don't play g3. There's a lot. I mean, you play the main line or something like this, or you want to play something more sober, and then just like try to play like nothing chess, just equality. I mean, Queen's Gambit declined is one of the most classical openings in the game. You're not really going to get some big advantage. We played theory until this moment. So I knew that queen c7 was a move here. My opponent played queen h5. The problem is that even if white gets everything to the right square, it's still super complicated. So I learned a lot this game about the plans. I actually spent like 30 minutes afterward just analyzing it with Leela, with Stockfish, just seeing the different plans. And the engine thinks that the way my opponent played this was inaccurate and actually does find an advantage. The problem is, for a human eye in like a game with 6 minutes on the clock, and I've had this position maybe twice in practice in my online games. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to play like an engine. It's a tough position to handle with white. You get the advantage, but it's a hot plate. You got to set it down first. So rook b8, it turns out long castles is the third choice of the engine. Actually, the engine likes queen a3. It likes just defending the pawn and like castling short or playing king f2. So for example, let's say black plays, I don't know, e5, for example. Once e5 gets played, then and only then does the engine like long castle, because now the queen is cut off and there is no knight d5. So let's say you just give a pass back move like h6. Now the engine actually it likes castling short. What's the difference? So it's like, okay, well now black plays e5. Well, the difference is that now you just take the pawn. Let's say you get pinned, you play queen c5 and you go, I'm up a pawn. How are you gonna attack me? Oh, bishop h3 is so scary. Oh my god, so scary. Right, there's nothing. So the computer handles these positions much better than the human eye. It's very imbalanced. And I decided, well, I've seen people long castle before. The problem is, the way this happens now is I'm already committed this way. And you see, if I play queen a3 and then knight d5 happens, the difference here is that I play bishop d4 and I still haven't committed my king. So if this trade ever happens, I'm super happy because I have my diagonal battery going toward g7. This is always very pleasant for me. I just don't take the knight. I just let the knight hang out. I'm not afraid of this, apparently. I can just castle out of it. Knight c2, and I have this move. So the computer just always finds something. I'm trying to learn from the computer. I really am. Not really You know, and then here I played bishop d4. I thought, well, I'm just vibing. I mean, everything is good. I thought bishop f5 was kind of silly, but it's actually not a bad move. G4. But then here, I mean, yeah, like if I had played rook d2, the game goes on. Although here there's something fascinating. I thought both my opponent and I thought that bishop g6 was not possible because obviously h4 and the bishop gets trapped. It turns out that h4 loses the game to a slow move. Just loses the game. Because h5 is not actually a threat yet, because I haven't moved my rook, and c3 is a killer. And this is kind of the problem with committing too quickly to the queen side in this line. And I learned it the hard way. I'm glad I learned it in a training game for a YouTube recording, and you get to watch me get slaughtered. But, yeah, dangerous. Bishop c3, rook c3, and my ass gets checkmated on b1. So, yeah, it turns out that taking on d5 too quickly, castling too quickly was what did me in here. And there's always subtle moves like queen a5, like for example this. And I can just freeze my opponent up for a second before actually committing to a decision. But long castles is what did me in. I have to play queen a3 here. But there's other moves. I mean, black can play a lot of stuff here. Black can play the immediate knight d5. And yeah, then the engine is already trying to say queen a5 and, you know, trying to figure out what to do. It's not easy. It's really not an easy position at all. But, well, what happened in the game was this. And so it's funny because the best plan, according to the machine, is not coming this way. It's coming the other way, which I had warned about. But now that I allowed the bishop to stand right next to my king, it's a serious problem. And this is I just can't defend f3. I have no way to guard f3. If I push it, I don't quite lose this. But, I mean, queen g2, queen c2 is very scary. So here's what happened in the game. Remember around here, I mentioned that I probably have a way to save it, but I'm so mad about allowing bishop d3 that I'm probably going to lose the game. Yeah, it turns out that here I have the following sequence of moves, which saves the game. I mean, I would have probably never seen this. So rook takes bishop. Of course, I saw this idea. I mentioned that I can sacrifice. Now, here's the thing. If cd3... I take on f8, right? So I'm threatening this mate. So actually every move that my opponent plays has to either take my bishop or give me a check. So it would be check here, check here, check here. Are you ready for this? Check to all this. I have to come back, right? Now, check, okay? At this point, I would have to find the move e4, because if king d4, apparently rook c2 is winning for black with rook c4 ideas. So I would have had to find e4. And now de4 loses to king e3, apparently. So black would have had to play queen a6 and rook e2 and hunt me out to f4 and then take on f8. So forgive me for not seeing this sequence, because I would have never seen the sequence. So yes, I kind of had a way to save this. And by the way, that doesn't even have to happen. We can also go check here and queen h1, which I also would have had to calculate. Again, with 40 minutes on the clock, you're playing an over-the-board tournament. Maybe you try to do this, and here there's this... Look, what is this? There are three things hanging. d4, with the idea to make queen d4 happen, and rook f8. And the point is that now the queen has to deflect. And now black has a moment, maybe takes on h2 or something. Yeah, no. That didn't happen, and the game's over. Yeah, so the two main things, I tried to play two systems today to gain experience in them, because I usually don't get those systems a whole lot in Blitz. And I learned the hard way. I mean, those positions were tough to handle. I had chances to equalize, and I didn't. And this is kind of how you learn. I mean, I'm kind of pissed off. I lost 2 games. I'm really pissed off I allowed... I haven't recovered. It's been 2 hours since I allowed bishop d3. I'm still pissed off. Just so you know that blunders at this level also sting. And credits to my opponent. I mean, my man showed up to play today. So, yeah, I know what it's going to... You know, obviously I know what the comments... You're going to have the usual rodeo of the circus that's like, you know, you're never going to be a Grandmaster. And I uploaded an episode where I lost 2 games. So this is as any episode as ever that you should hate. So by all means, floodgates are open. But yeah, man, you're going to lose a lot of games in training. So mad. So we're going to try to do better in the next episode. Till next time.